Afternoon, everyone. This meeting of the Liverpool Plains Shire Council is being live streamed to Council's website, and a webcast of this meeting will be published to Council's website at www.liverpoolplains.newsouthwales.gov.au so that it is available for viewing by members of the public. So for people to stand for Councillor Cohen to recite the acknowledgement of the Council prayer.
Today we gather on land with Eora Nation. We therefore need to acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of this land. We also pay our respects to the Aboriginal elders, both past and present, and further extend that respect to other adults who have joined us today. Council prayer. Lord, we ask that you watch over this council, guide us in our deliberations and decisions, and for the betterment of all the people of our Shire and Australia.
Thank you, Councillor Cohen. Are there any apologies or applications for leave of absence? No? 3.1 minutes of the council meeting held on the 24th of September 2025. The recommendation 1 that the minutes of the council meeting held on the 24th of September 2025 be received and the recommendations therein be adopted. Do I have a motion? Councillor Lawson. Seconder, please. Councillor Kane. Does the member wish to speak to the motion?
No.
Anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Disclosures of interest. Are there any conflicts of interest in matters under consideration at the ordinary meeting in accordance with Part 4 and Part 5 of the Code of Conduct? None? Thank you. 5.1 Mayoral Minute, Meetings, Functions and Events for September 2025. The motion that Council 1 note the meetings, functions and events attended by the Mayor in an official capacity on behalf of the Liverpool Plains Shire Council for the month of September 2025 as detailed in this report. I would like to move this report. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Sinkin. Anyone wishing to speak for or against the motion? Not. All in favour?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Councillor Cohen. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick question. I know that there's been some dissension or other matters in relation to the Criminal Jockey Club and the council, the various matters in relation to the track of recent time. And I noticed that you have had a meeting and further in another item of today's meeting, there was a mention of a meeting, a further meeting after the one mentioned here. Just wondered if you could give us a bit of outline of where you're at and what's happened between council and the Jockey Club.
Well, at the moment, Councillor Cohen, it's more about the water use, and it's about they've taken on a bit more ownership of the track in the mowing of, and most of the amenities, or some of them have been updated through the Jockey Club at their expense, being the upstairs bar and a couple of other items. But generally, I think everybody seems to be happy at the moment. There was a race meeting that was cancelled, I think, through a leak, an excess water charge, but I think that was sorted. So generally, I think the Jockey Club are fairly partial to what's happening at the moment. Anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 5.2 The Mayoral Minute of October 2025 Citizenship Ceremony. The motion of the Council on extended congratulations to 10 residents of the Liverpool Plains Shire who were conferred Australian citizenship at the citizenship ceremony held on the 14th of October 2025. I would like to move this report. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Lawson. Does anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Kane.
Mr Mayor, on a very positive, I'd just like to congratulate yourself, staff and Deputy Mayor. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend, Mr Allen, Councillor Allen, I should say. I was away, so unfortunately I couldn't attend, but I must say, and congratulations to Joe, our media officer. The presentation on social media was excellent. I was really quite chuffed. The photographs were, could actually speak to you about the 10-year citizens who were welcomed. They were so enlightened, so happy, and it really was portrayed on the social feed that was put up. So I'd just like to say, very well done, congratulations, and welcome to the Shire. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kane. Yeah, no, it was a great morning, and as you say, I think they were pretty chuffed with the whole affair. It was a good venue to have it, and I thank all the staff that sort of made it happen. It was very well attended, and it was a good morning. So anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried. 6.1 Resolutions Register Update. The recommendation of Council 1, receive and note the Resolutions Register as at the 10th of October 2025 as appended at Annexure A, and the Resolution Register for 2024 as appended at Annexure B. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Kane, seconder, please. Councillor Robertson. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
Mr Mayor, yes I do. Could I ask Mr Mayor, just in regarding resolution 2025/56, and it was a resolution that I can remember clearly, and it was somewhat confusing when this resolution was put forward for myself. Mr Mayor, my question is, the resolution quoting 90 days has now passed with from the date of this resolution, and I'm just wondering, now that we are in a new financial year, Council offered to give a reduction of charge for the size of the water service supply on the Coondah Golf Course. Has there been any more contact being made with how we're going with this joint agreement between us and Coondah Golf Club? And from my understanding of that resolution, the reduced rate will finish in June of this year, and I'm just wondering whether there's been correspondence moving forward to the management of Coondah Golf Club to inform them now, I presume, that the normal rate is moved back to the 100 mil water metre certs. So I'm just concerned that we may go through a period, if there's lack of correspondence or understanding, that coming into our summer months, that they may incur quite a considerable account. So I'm just wondering if I can have a little bit of clarification of that, Mr Mayor, please. Thank you.
Through the General Manager.
Thank you, Councillor Kane, for the question, and through the Mayor. Yes, Councillor, we did have a meeting with the board, or representatives of the board of Club Corinda in, it was either June or July, the exact date escapes me, to discuss the situation there in an attempt to navigate a path forward. Following that meeting, I did send correspondence to the Secretary Manager of Club Corinda. No response has been received to date. Club Corinda have attempted to instigate a further meeting to discuss this. I understand when I was on annual leave that it was then deferred. A meeting was meant to be held last week, and Club Corinda has asked that be deferred. deferred. So we are still playing, I guess, going backwards and forwards in relation to that. But we have had that initial meeting. Our manager of water services is going to, or planning to actually meet one of their reps on site to attempt to, I guess, progress negotiations at that level. But we are trying, I guess, to try and move this forward. And I should say, apologies, in relation to the second part of the question, which was, the clause 2 of this resolution that reverts back to at the end of that first 90 days. I'm not sure whether that has been, actioned per se, beyond the fact that it's been communicated and we've had meetings, but you're right, that has not concluded, so we will need to follow that one up. I think I can say that one. Backdated.
Backdate the payments that they advertised in June. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Just the period, the 90-day period finished in June. You had a consultation. I think during the consultation, or minimal consultation, there was no talk of any repayment or any systems going forward. It could not happen. But obviously there hasn't been any payments or anything concluded. Will then the period that hasn't been paid for the 100 bills be backdated to that date? When the 90 days were up.
Thank you, Councillor Allen. I don't believe that, in terms of how I read that resolution, they had to, I guess, provide us with an assurance within the first 90 days, which hasn't been received. I don't believe the backdating, but I'll need to, I guess, follow up with the finance team in relation to how that's being processed.
Councillor,
This is the second year or third year now that this has continued on. So during my first term as councillor, this was raised again, and the same assurances were given during that period that this would be either attempted to be fixed or fixed. It's not fair on every ratepayer now when we change to the rate user system that this has continued on. I think it was good of Councillor Kane to pick it up, and I'm just interested to see that what is going to be done. Thanks.
I think in 2 part B it says that they undertake tangible work to their water systems in partnership with council to facilitate the requested reduction in charges. They've had 2 goes at, they are trying to find water. So they've had 2 goes at quite considerable expense. So they actually are, between council, the golf club and probably now the rugby club, everyone's trying to work to see how we can actually get water without paying for potable water. So everyone's trying, it's just not working as well. So it's probably in council's defence, we probably need to try and work out how they can actually, whether they go down the tank level or whatever, so they can actually go back to a 40 mil per se off the system. But the golf club got issues with the RSL because they're the ones with the money. So, we're all working through the process. As I say, they're trying. So that part of that resolution was that we needed to see some tangible effort to have a go. That's right,
That's not a tangible outcome. If you measure your outcomes on that, then you're saying that you've overlooked it and allowed them to do it again. That's not a tangible outcome. A tangible outcome would be they had the tanks in there. That's a more tangible outcome, that they had tanks and they're putting in. To continue to allow them to forego fees at 100 mil pipe when they're getting 100 mil pipe piped in there and only paying for the 44, 45, whatever it is, that isn't a tangible outcome. That is allowing them to continue to access water they should not be accessing. And it is, I think it's not a good look. And if the rest of the community can do exactly the same, why aren't they? Why isn't the bicycles being given the same? That's the question that's got to be asked, because it's not good enough. And this is now, through 2 terms, I've been here 2 terms, the same questions get asked, the same unachievable outcomes, or non-tangible outcomes, we'll use the wording, and it's not good enough. And that's the thing that someone needs to be held accountable. At the end of the day, that's what should be happening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Allen. Anyone else wishing to speak for or against? Councillor Robertson.
Mr Mayor, in the past, they've looked at using recycled water and it's been put on the back burner. I just wonder, if that can be put into the equation again, just in case they can't find water. And I think we as a council voted to give them the reduction in that 100 mil down to 40 a couple of months ago. But I've got no problem with trying to keep that place going, because if we do inherit it, it's just one more problem we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Robertson. Councillor Kane.
Mr Mayor, just on one other item that's in the General Manager's report, if you could just give us a brief update. I know we have to be careful in broadcasting this. I suppose it's well, it is in the business practice. It's resolution 2025/143 regarding how we deal with the rural pitches. I haven't seen any updates in the last couple of months, and I just didn't see any in this business paper. And I realise we left it up to the discretion of the General Manager around there, so I just wondering if it's possible for a quick update. Thank you.
The General Manager.
Thank you, Councillor Kane, and through the Mayor. Yes, so those negotiations are progressing with the preferred respondent to that expression of interest process. The Deputy Mayor, Director of Planning, Community and I met with representatives of the respondent on Monday on site at the Royal Theatre to talk through their plans and I guess confirming the principles for what could become a settlement or a negotiation. I'm comfortable following that meeting. We are in a position to bring our report back to Council in November for councillors to consider.
Thank you, Julian. Anyone else? Councillor Singh.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and I'll preface this by saying I'm actually on the committee for the Green RSL Golf Club, so I do have some information that I wouldn't usually have as a member of council, so I am going to say I don't speak on behalf of the Club Corinda. I also don't speak on behalf of the committee of the Corinda RSL Golf Club. However, I also share Councillor Allen and many of our other councillors' frustrations about the tenure and the length of how long this issue's been going on. I know that there is meaningful work, or probably the most meaningful work on this project has been completed in just the last several weeks, and there is a far more positive dialogue between the committee and council. I do note a lack of tangible outcomes, councillor, depending on the definition, but I think that there is a positive working relationship. I do note that over the time that this issue's been going on, there's been several general managers, there's been several managers, directors, etc. So understanding that there is a impact to the community and we are here to represent the entire community, I do ask that we be patient until next month, and if things need to be rediscussed in a month's time, let's do that. But please, let's, I suppose for lack of a better word, let's give this one last crack and have some more meaningful conversation and just see if we can get an outcome like that. But notwithstanding, I do understand the frustration. I understand that the people in this room are here to represent the entire community, not just one club. But that's my 2 bobs worth, and I think that we can continue to work and see if we can get this sorted. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Singh. Anyone else wishing to speak for or against? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 6.2, public exhibition of draft code of meeting practice. The recommendation of council to endorse the draft code of meeting practice appended at Annexure B for public exhibition for a period of 28 days and allow a period of 42 days for public comments prior to formal adoption by council pursuant to section 361 of the Local Government Act of 1993. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Robinson. Seconder, please. Councillor Lawson. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, Mr Mayor.
Councillor.
Yes, Mr Mayor. Like most of the, this document is directed to us. I just want to know if there's any guarantees that we don't get alternative facts or a fluffy end of the story. You know, we're here to do a job and we've just been pushed over the top. That's the way I feel about it. We need some honesty. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Robinson. Anyone else wishing to speak for or against? Councillor Lawson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll just note that this is a requirement for us as a council to put this on public exhibition so that we can meet the deadlines of adopting it. I think it's really disappointing that the Minister hasn't taken on quite a few of the objections to the new model code. There's quite a lot of things in here that I personally disagree with, but nonetheless, we do need to put it on public exhibition as that's a requirement. And I'm just hoping that there will be some amendments at the 11th hour to that, made by the Minister, but we'll just have to wait and see. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lawson. Well said. Anyone else wishing to speak? Councillor Centre.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It's not often that I get the opportunity to pretend I'm a politician and stand on the soapbox and have a crack at something, so I'm going to have a good go at this one. I speak to this motion from a perspective of being thoroughly frustrated, deflated and generally annoyed. After a review of the attached draft code of meeting practice, I came to the conclusion that some of the changes made are to a degree a step in the wrong direction. I don't believe the changes will make us better community representatives. I don't believe it genuinely lends to better transparency outcomes for our community, nor do I believe it's in the best interests of our organisation. As this motion has to be passed today and the changes to the code of meeting practice have to be adopted, I'm fully aware that my objections are in fact mute. So with this in mind, I thought I might have a little bit of fun with it. And to that end, I present my thoughts via acrostic poem. S is for silly. Silly like councillors not being able to attend meetings via audio-visual link if they have work commitments. Next thing, we'll need to file a note from the doctor if we can't make it due to a bout of flu or if we had some bad chicken. I'm starting to feel a bit like I've had some bad chicken at the thought of having to stomach voting for this motion. Teas are terrible. Banning briefing sessions is a terrible idea. Some of the best work we do as councillors are in briefing sessions. We develop a rapport with the executive team, we speak freely, we find solutions. Nonetheless, the new code completely obliterates casual and honest dialogue and replaces it with stale professional Q&A with more rules to follow than you can poke two sticks at. U is for unconstantaneous, defined by Collins as an adjective, disagreeable or discordant. A great word to describe my general feelings of many of these changes. P is for pretentious. I'm not knocking the mayor, he's a lovely bloke, but standing in for the mayor's entry or to speak in a meeting doesn't make us better councillors, it just helps us get our physical fitness for the day. This item will make for an interesting workers' comp claim for a bad back. I is for impedimentary. Many of these changes hinder our ability to do our job. Ultimately, we'll have more rules to follow, less time to thoroughly investigate matters, and I would contend significantly more items laid on the table pending further information. The burden not only on our executive team but the broader management team to be available with requisite detail at council meetings will slow our ability to make decisions and impact our organisation substantially. D is for disappointing. With the number of serious issues local government as a whole are facing right now, I think many of these changes miss the mark. But it's not all doom and gloom and sour grapes and sucking on lemons. There are now stronger rules for councillors that need to go to the naughty corner. Public forums now mandatory. It's easier to deal with urgent business if required, and the mayor can call an extraordinary meeting easier if we need one. It's best summarise it, it's like a big bowl of cabbage sprinkled with a little bit of chocolate to make it a bit more appealing. At the end of the day, it's still a big bowl of cabbage. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. Words of wisdom. Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Robinson.
Yeah, I'd like to thank councillor Simpkins for that. That was brilliant. And you put it in words that probably we couldn't. Money on education wasn't wasted. Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against, carried unanimously. Thank you. Seven point one, monthly statement of investments for September 2025. The recommendation that council receive and note the statement of investments as of the 30th of September 2025 as appended to Annexure A. To receive and note the Imperial Markets monthly investment review report for Liverpool Plain Shire Council as of 30th of September 2025 as appended at Annexure B. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, councillor Cowan. Second, please. Councillor Lawson. Does the member wish to speak to the motion?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. It's easy. 7.2, authorise the signing of the draft financial statements for the year ended 30th of June 2025. The recommendation of Council 1, authorise the Mayor, Deputy Mayor, General Manager and Responsible Accounting Officer to sign the statements by councillors and management as required for the draft financial statements for the year ended the 30th of June 2025 as tabled. And 2, note that the draft Liverpool Plain Shire Council's financial statements for the year ended the 30th of June 2025 will be referred to Council's Auditor and the New South Wales Audit Office in accordance with Section 4, 1 and 3, brackets 1 of the Local Government Act of 1993. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Simpkin, seconder, please. Councillor Cowan. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Cowan.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to make a positive comment in relation to these financial statements, which passed through the ARIC committee last week. And that is to pass on the congratulations of the audit team, the external audit team, to our financial staff for being able to get, for the first time in quite some years, our preliminary statements to the auditor within the prescribed and legislated timeframes. So I just wanted to make that comment to make us aware. There were a few questions raised in relation to the financial matters, which were adequately answered by our staff, and the independent members of the ARIC agreed that all was a fairly good result, and that although the bottom line doesn't look considerably good, there are some very good genuine reasons for that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Cowan, and well said. I think the finance team have done an amazing job. So is there anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 8.1, monthly works report. The recommendation that Council 1 receive and note the monthly works report for September 2025. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Simpkin. Second, please. Councillor Kane. Does the member wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Simpkin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This one won't be anything like the last one. I'm cognizant that our acting director of infrastructure is in the hot seat, in the big seat there, but I'm also happy to take these on notice if you're not 100% across it. Within the body of the report, there's been a couple of ongoing projects on Merriwalk Road with some pavement rehabilitation, 3 sections that have been completed. Throughout the course of that and some other inspections of that road, it's become clear that certain sections of road have been damaged due to increased traffic volumes because of the Darracon project, which they're completing. I suppose the first question is, we now have a scope. Do we have a cost estimate for that works, and where is that money going to come from? Essentially, seeing as it was unplanned or unbudgeted last QBR. My second query is just around the slope remediation works occurring near our boundary on Maryborough Road. I believe they've been completed or been finalised now. Could council be presented some information as to the scope of the costing around that project too? Thank you.
To the General Manager.
Through Mr. Mayor. So yeah, good question, Councillor, and good observation. So basically there's 3 other rehab sections that we've decided that have to be done, so they're going to be done. They've been fully costed, scoped, approved to the RTI board. Basically there was a shortfall of approximately 450k that we had in the R2R allocation for this year that wasn't been allocated to projects within this year. We thought it was best served to use that 450k to do the remaining 3 sections that needed to be rehabbed, plus approximately 300 metres squared of heavy patching. That should get us right through the whole section of the Merriwalk Road, that's our section, fully either rehab, heavy patched, and we've also got some sealing, and we know we don't want to seal till the heavy patching is done. So basically, the contractor that was working on that road was planning to move to the Coonabarabran Road. We've basically going to do the Coonabarabran Road internally and leave the contractor on there, save the mobilisation costs and keep working and get out on there. We probably think we'll get that through to about February next year for completion. So there will be some overlap when it's open, but at least people, rather than having that, stigma of what works are still progressing. We've got some further works that are recommended by GHD up on the slope. They recommend some block barrier and some fencing barrier, a hybrid approach to both. We've got the design, recommended design through them. Obviously, we'll look to cost that through the disaster funding that's currently available, and we've got some excess in other funds that we're going to make sure that there's no cost to council and get that fully completed also. In relation to the material that was removed off the slope, we've got some further capping, sealing, weatherproofing of the stockpile, and obviously got to come up with a plan that's viable to move that because it can't stay in its current position. So I hope I've answered your question.
Councillors.
There, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak for Jane, Councillor Ross?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've just got 3 questions. One of them is, last county council meeting, we took on the responsibility of doing some work on the Camilla Road Highway. We had a costing for the A part of it, but we've accepted the B part of it with no costings at all. Also, I wondered how the swinging bridge is going, because it was supposed to be already started by now, and also the Yarraman Creek culvert. It's all supposed to be underway, but nothing's happening. Thank you.
To the General Manager.
Through Mr. Mayor. So first part of the question is, refresh the council of that project was.
Armco Rail.
Yeah, so basically there's 2 parts of that. That's both external works been run by Transport New South Wales, and they've accepted the quote at those prices for both. So you've got the barrier fencing component and you've got the shoulder widening component. They'll be done in 2 stages with a slight overlap. So basically they'll come in and widen the shoulders. The contract was successful for that. Then the barrier fencing will continue after that. Obviously, when the wider sections are ready for that work to commence. We put a works proposal in the Transport New South Wales with all costs covered of the tendered prices, and also we put on some project management, some admin, some finance and that sort of cost, to obviously to cater for the works that we're going to do to make that work happen. They've verbally given the approval we're just getting the final works proposal signed off now. They've also had some good discussions with us about really positive for us to do some heavy patching internally, they've voiced to us that if we look that we're going to externally resource that, they'd rather externally resource it themselves. But we've indicated, knowing that we've got some heavy patching to go on the Merrill Road and stuff, we thought we'd set that team up, get some continuity, we haven't, rather than the Merrill job straight to the highway, that team will just, we've resourced that team where we're going to make sure we get good outcomes. So I hope I answered that all right. So to answer your question, there'll be no cost to council. We will cover all our costs and obviously cover the contingency and get some further works where we can make some, obviously get some utilisation of our plan, get some specialised skills acquired for our staff to do on our own roads. So good outcomes for that.
So is the costing for the second part of it being evaluated? Because a month ago it was just guesswork. We accepted the contract without knowing how much it was going to cost.
Yeah, I haven't got that figure off the top of my head. I know when the figures of the unit rates were looked at by Transport New South Wales, they were comfortable with the costing per metre and they're comfortable for that contractor to be. Obviously they've got their requirements to make sure that traffic management, G registration and all the 900 series and all the stuff that has to happen on the highway is done correctly, and that's why we've made sure that we've covered our costs to make sure that components of the project are done well, but they're comfortable with the unit rates that are provided by the defensive contract.
Thank you.
In relation to Swinging Bridge and Yarram Bridge, the previous acting director has had further consultation with them because they've indicated delays. The manager of assets and design for projects back from leave this week. I know one of the things that we talked about internally was that he was going to make further contact and make sure that it gets resolved, and further contact till it gets a result. But there was some stuff going on the Yarram Bridge just to make sure that the detour that they designed, so as part of their costing to do, we were happy with that and make sure that it doesn't affect the road users while the work's being done. And so I'm pretty confident I can say that within the next week or two we'll have deadlines, like start dates with them locked in.
With the delay, is there expected to be a price increase for both those projects?
No, we've got documented emails where we've been trying to actively get that moving, so that to answer the question, no.
Thank you.
Councillor Kane.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one question, Mr. Mayor, again, just on the Swinging Bridge. I'm unsure on just the way this is actually mentioned in the report, stating that the 80% design stage of the pedestrian bridge drawings have been received. I just can't quite understand. 80% was sitting in the document this time last month. I see we have a drawing now, which is great, and it's indicated that the works are about to start, but how do we end up with an 80% design stage? Is this just a term because we haven't got final executed drawings being presented to ourselves, or why is the figure of 80% put in there? That just confuses me how it's Mr. Mayor, thank you.
The General Manager.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'll have to take that one on notice. I know the previous acting director had a specialisation in bridges, and potentially the questions that he's asked back to them might have basically put that in back to the design stage, and that could be the reason why. And then the questions that he's asked will be getting into that. That's my estimate.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, Councillor Lawson.
Just the last one, but I only bring this up as you mentioned it, so you might be able to answer it. I had some questions around the detour for the Yarram Creek Bridge, what exactly that was going to look like in the meantime, what was being built, and hopefully coming up to a time period where we might see some flooding. So yeah, I was just wondering if there was any detail received from the contractor yet around how that was actually going to look. Thanks.
The General Manager.
I'll take that one on notice, but I do believe the conversations had with the project design engineer and the previous acting director were to make sure that that was catered for in some, so of culvert piping of some, and all weather, gravel and all that sort of stuff was to be factored in because of the time duration for the project to be completed. So I'll take that on notice and get back to you, but I know that they were factoring in designs to ensure that, they're catered for most rain events.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 8.2, monthly Shire presentation report. The recommendation of Council 1, receive and note the monthly Shire presentation report for September 2025. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Simpkin. Second, Councillor Kane. Does the member wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Simpkin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Firstly, I'd like to pass on my thanks to the team for their prompt action in dealing with the issues we've had at number 1 with some turf down. I see that they're down there and getting a bit of water on there. It's obviously early days, but there's a bit of work to be done. But thanks very much for the prompt response there for everyone involved. Notwithstanding the good efforts, of course, we're in a less than awesome position because of some decision making. So I want to understand, I suppose, and it was prior to the acting director's time with the business, there was plenty of conversation about that particular project well and truly in advance of it being undertaken, months in advance, in fact. And I know that because I was copied into some correspondence with another user group, and there was a bit of politics around it. But what I'd like to understand going forward is have we investigated and come up with any outcomes to assist with ensuring we don't have this issue going into the future? Understanding you might have to take it on notice. The second point was only raised to me today. The trees just across the road here, near the long vehicle parking where the caravans park, some of those branches are encroaching out, maybe impacting caravans and the antennas and things on top. So if you would mind just having a look at that and making a decision. Thank you.
The General Manager.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, in relation to number 1, I'm big on just let's move forward, and I know in the previous correspondence, when I arrived, I went to the site with the site supervisor, I saw a bare patch. The first thing I asked was, obviously looked like they had some laser leveling done. Had that been done? What consequences of actions have been taken since? He basically explained to me then, which I was quite surprised, that there was no irrigation available at the time. I made a comment to him that I'm very surprised if they're going to play cricket on here shortly that hasn't been voiced that they're concerned. It wouldn't have been 48 hours later that concern was solidified. Basically what I'd done was, it wasn't perfect. I would have loved to have had irrigation and prior to the turf going down. I made a decision with the short window we had to order through the general manager to order the turf, get it out. I know there are some concerns in relation to once we fire the sprinklers up, which they're working on right now. This week only we've had a connection from the town water reticulation to run the sprinklers. So basically they will be powered up, if not as we speak, very shortly thereafter. What my idea is then is with pop-up sprinklers now, you can basically, without wrapping the gears on them and steam on them, you can screw them off and that'll obviously generate more power. We'll pick a line where potentially we think that the turf's covered them. We'll have to be in our shovel, we'll look for a wet patch. It's not perfect, I would have loved it around the other way. It was about getting the grass down, established, top dressed, rolled, ready for cricket, which is meant to start there this weekend. All in all, it's not a bad result. The determination can be made to close the business today with the user group on whether they play 3rd and 4th grade both down there this weekend, or we play 3rd grade on number 2 and 4th grade over Collins. Another thing the user group raised, we actually straight away was there was a burn mark pretty much right in on the synthetic where a good length will probably land. So we knew that was a safety risk. Under their advice and our tutelage and our staff's skills, we cut some of the mat behind the stumps the exact section. We've taken off, we've got the proper adhesive glue, we've glued it on, we've rolled it, we've dressed it with sand, even though it's synthetic, it's got a layer of sand over it. We put where the burn is will be behind the stumps, we've placed that so the run-up's safe at the back, so we've got action for a plan B, which is to have on course. So we've done everything possible to get a good outcome for the user groups, and as far as I understand, the feedback's good, and I'll take you through on notice and make sure that's done relatively quick, that's all.
Anyone else wishing? Councillor Roberts.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, number one, that whole saga of levelling the field would have been able to be done a hell of a lot better than what the outcome has done now. Things happen that shouldn't have, and the user groups are the ones that have left to carry the bucket. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kay.
Mr. Mayor, could I just ask regarding our town maintenance and street sweeping? I'm just wondering, in the program, does the main CBD or central area of Waters Creek, is it down to have any street cleaning and sweeping done? Just noticed it later, just whether it be staffing over school holidays or whatever, it really needs some love on probably a more regular basis than possibly once a week. It's just, I just had some correspondence from some of the business owners along that section just asking what's happened to our maintenance regarding rubbish in the gutters. And on the pavement, and the only other issue I have up there, I've been asked if I could make some inquiries why the 3 wheelie bins that are along that section that are hidden in some wooden frames. It's probably getting to the stage that one of even the shop owners is trying to repair the covering and keep those in some type of order from falling apart. So I'm just wondering if, when possible, could someone just have a look at the bin situation along the main section of Rose Creek's single street, and just if we could be added possibly, maybe a little bit more regularly, to the street sweeping program, please. Thank you.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. So my team have come in recently and they've said that they've actually backed off a little bit in the Green Rhino trip because they believe the rubbish and debris that was becoming less each time they done it. So I'll make sure that I follow up what you brought up today, and that capacity that that's fair data we've got to Green Rhino, obviously we really should look at utilising that down at West Creek, so I'll take that on notice. My team has also raised the bin closures to me as a concern, and what I've asked for them is basically a full number of them, and then categorise them as a category 5 completely gone repaired, or 3 not so bad, and I was going to look at the budgets, and basically if there was 5 to 10 that needed to be replaced imminently. I know the director sitting beside me is looking at ordering some new banners and stuff on the main street. I thought if we could get the new bin enclosures out, around the same time the new banners come there. We've also, for council's information, it arrived yesterday, we purchased a nursery for the council. It's going to be erected, it's getting put together tomorrow for my team. We'll have irrigation system through it, racks through it. We're going to look at buying stock at an efficient cost, small size, pot up and have some operations in-house. We're going to have colour in the main street before Christmas. We're also going to make sure that West Creek gets the same plant material in the main street that Greenway does. There's also an avenue of trees on the left-hand side going down to David Taylor. I've spoken to my team about lifting them up, cleaning all the grass underneath, spraying, topping up the mulch, so there'll be nice avenue of trees on there, nice main street, and just try and make sure that we get the case in all the town CBDs.
Councillor Kay.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, that's wonderful news. Life is good. That strain of trees, yes, is held very close to a few of the residents too, of Waters Creek. They were planted and maintained and babied and got to that stage by, unfortunately, a couple of elderly gentlemen who have passed away, so that is their legacy. Francis Griffin eyes, I think, they are a white flowering ash. So they mean a lot to the community, and there has been a story, I know they've grown beautifully well and they're very hard to maintain to me, so it'll be lovely, I think, and I do know the residents will really appreciate the work, so thanks very much for having the community on the radar too, so thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor. And Councillor Robertson.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, on the problem with the bins at Werris Creek, I know that the men's shed was approached a long time ago to actually rebuild them. Has anything happened to that? Thank you.
With the General Manager.
I'll take that on notice, and we'll definitely, if we're gonna have that, consultation and be willing to do that, that'd be definitely entertaining. Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or Councillor Carroll?
Just a quick question actually to the Director in relation to town maintenance and whether there is any sort of thing you can do. I noticed that a lot of our elderly citizens have various garden maintenance people that come in and mow their lawns and things, and up in my area that seems that all the mowers these days, they don't have catchers, so they like to blow the grass out onto the road, which of course impedes our water runoff from storms and things. I just wonder whether there's anything council can do about media release that sort of says, this is not the accepted practice, and can these contractors please dispose of their vegetation somewhere else or whatever.
With the General Manager.
I'll take that on board, and obviously, we'll try and, if there's large areas that are unavoidable, we'll try and incorporate them in our street sweeping program if we can, but we'll definitely have that conversation with the contractors, and I've noticed that the practice internally has really improved with relation to mowing and lining down the paths and all that sort of stuff. We try and encourage them to basically shoot the first run of the edge back in, because obviously you get a better cut, and then obviously do another one and then spin it around and try and mulch as you go, and that's been done better internally, it's going to find flow down to the sides, but we'll take them out as improvements.
These are their Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 8.3, monthly water and wastewater status. The recommendation of Council 1, receive and note the monthly water and wastewater status report for October 2025. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Cowan, Councillor Seconder, Councillor Sinkin. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. The Development and Building Report for September 2025. The recommendation of Council 1, receive and note the Development and Building Report for September 2025. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Sinkin, seconder, please. Councillor Robinson. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, please, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Sinkin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can see that the body of the report and the way in which the report is constructed around applications and data has been improved, so I thank the Director very much for that. It's much easier to understand the information, and certainly gives us a better picture as to what's going on there and where we are at in the state of play. My question, I suppose, is could the Director please provide a little bit further detail on the assessment days per development assessment type? So I know we have different types, we have 138s, we have 68s, we have DAs, etc. I suppose a bit of a breakdown around those assessment days per area, just to see if it's a trend potentially. My second point is I know that there's 7 applications currently under assessment that are over 6 months from lodgement. Understanding that applications have varying levels of complexity and may be relying on the applicants to provide further information. Just wondering if the director could give us a little bit of an update on those ones, please. Thank you.
To the General Manager.
Through the Mayor, Councillor, thank you for your question. Just in relation to the assessment times and the different types of applications, I can, at this point, can only really speak to the development application times. So, Council would be aware that the state government now publishes a DA lead table and tracking council's performance in relation to the lodgement of development application and their assessment. And looking at the lodgement days, look, we're sitting pretty close to the department's expectation for our council, which is 7 days. And so I'm hoping to see some improvement in that area. We're definitely starting to work on some continuous improvement projects within the planning and regulation team. In terms of the assessment days for September, they're definitely sitting well below the expectation. And it is my understanding it is a rolling average, not a monthly average. So it is good to see that we're sitting nearly at half of the Department of Planning's expectation for this particular council, and that 89% of our applications in September met that requirement. In terms of the other types of applications, I have to apologise, I don't have any data around the assessment times associated with those particular applications. In terms of those applications which are currently sitting with us for greater than 6 months, it's usually it's the applicant. We're waiting for information to come back to council. And if I may, I can provide separate advice to the council's close to the meeting around what is going on with those particular applications, and I don't actually have any details on hand.
Thank you very much. Councillor Simpson?
Yeah, all good. Thank you very much.
Councillor Robertson?
Yes, it was identified a while ago that we were going to try do a lot of the approvals in-house and to get away from contractors. Just wondering if that's been achieved yet, or are we still relying on contractors for a lot of the pick and shovel work? Thank you.
Through the General Manager?
Through the Mayor, and thank you for the question. In relation to the use of contractors at this stage, we're still using the same level of contractors that were here when I arrived in late August. And I'm currently working with that team in terms of continuous improvement, and I expect at some point I'll be having a look at these issues and making some decisions.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Robertson, and thank you, Director Costa. I'll just add a comment to the directors, which is we have advertised the positions within that team, Councillor Robertson. They are notoriously difficult to fill, but pleasingly we have actually been able to recruit one of the town planner positions, and that was actually a young fellow who's been with us for a year as I think just a bit over, but he is a cadet planner. He is nearing completion of his bachelor's degree, and we've been able to provide him with that pathway up for the organisation, which is fantastic. And Ben has now settled into his role as a planner, and he'll be getting his hands dirty with more planning work and not just the admin role that graduate positions often get lumped with. We are also recruiting an admin resource within that team, and that recruitment has gone quite well. We should be making an appointment at the end of next week after we've conducted panel interviews. But once again, bringing an admin resource within that team means that we can actually use less of contractors and consultants. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're right, Councillor Robertson? Yep. Councillor Kay? No, you're right.
No, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you very much. 9.2, the 2025-2026 pool season. I'd just like to get the Director of Planning and Community to report on what's happening at the moment before we vote on this, if that's all right with you people.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As councillors would be aware, we prepare these reports well in advance of the meeting, and since this report was prepared, there's been a number of matters coming out of the Corindai pool and the Werris Creek pool. So firstly, with the Corindai pool, it is actually progressing quite well, and at this stage, I have no reason to believe that it won't be open on the 22nd of November, and in fact, we're very hopeful that it will open in advance of that day. In terms of the Werris Creek pool, unfortunately, since I wrote this particular report, we have had issues arise with the contractor and the tiles. And as such, at this stage, my feeling is that the pool is unlikely to open on the 1st of November. However, following the meeting today, there will be some proactive comms being released by council into the community about particular issues in relation to the Werris Creek pool. And in addition to that, I'll be meeting with at least the 2 stakeholder groups in relation to Werris Creek pool to talk to them around their needs in terms of the swimming season, and also how we can accommodate them in this period where we're just not quite sure at this stage if I'm almost certain the 1st of November is not going to be achieved for the Werris Creek pool.
Thank you very much, John. So, we'll continue with the recommendation, and then we can discuss any changes to that recommendation. So the recommendation reads that Council 1 note that the Werris Creek Memorial Pool will open on Saturday the 1st of November 2025, and the Corindai Aquatic Centre will occur on Saturday the 22nd of November 2025. 2, note that if the construction of the Corindai Aquatic Centre occurs well in advance of Saturday the 22nd of November 2025, management will endeavour to open the facility earlier than scheduled. 3, note the hours of operation as detailed in the report for the Corindai Aquatic Centre and the Werris Creek Memorial Pool for the 2025-2026 pool season, with the hours being varied at the Corindai Aquatic Centre to fit with the program events on the 22nd of November 2025. And 4, apply a 10% discount to all season ticket purchases until the close of business on the 30th of November 2025, in recognition of the community's support and patience during construction of the Corindai Aquatic Centre. Now, it's going to be changed. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Lawson. A seconder, please. Councillor Kane. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Lawson.
In the form that I would like to put forward an amendment to the motion, which is up on the screen. Would you like me to read that out?
Yes, please.
And noting that given the director's comments, we might need to further amend point 1. The proposed recommendation being that Council 1 note that the Werris Creek Memorial Pool will open on Saturday 1st of November 2025, and the Corindai Aquatic Centre will occur on the Saturday 22nd of November 2025. 2, note that if the construction of the Corindai Aquatic Centre occurs well in advance of Saturday the 22nd of November 2025, management will endeavour to open the facility earlier than scheduled. 3, and this is where the first change occurs regarding the hours, that the hours of operation for the Corindai Aquatic Centre and Werris Creek Memorial Pool be amended by A, extending the hours of operation for both Corindai Aquatic Centre and Werris Creek Memorial Pool to 7 p.m. on weekdays and weekends. B, extending the pool season for both Corindai Aquatic Centre and Werris Creek Memorial Pool until Friday the 8th of April 2026. C, provide additional opening hours of 6 a.m. until 8 a.m. for Werris Creek Memorial Pool. And I'll just add to that that would be the same as the Corindai Aquatic Centre then. 4, apply a 10% discount to all season ticket purchases until the close of business on 30th of November 2025 in recognition of the community's support and patience during the construction of the Corindai Aquatic Centre. 5, facilitate a complimentary return Corindai Werris Creek afternoon bus service upon opening of the Werris Creek Memorial Pool until Corindai Aquatic Centre is opened for use. with ongoing operation being subject to adequate community take-up during the period. 6, that the pools reopen for the 2026-2027 season on Saturday the 3rd of October 2026, being the October long weekend. I'm not sure if I need a seconder for that amendment.
Councillor, hang on. Councillor Kane, are you happy with that amendment?
Mr Mayor, yes, I'd like to speak on behalf of the amendment, and I do accept.
Just as a member of the motion, I get to speak on it.
You happy to?
Second. I'm happy to second the motion.
Councillor Lawson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I just propose these amendments because I feel that we really need to open until 7 p.m. It's very hot until late in the afternoon and evening, so I think that that's required. Also, the morning slot is important to the Werris Creek pool users. There's a number of activities that take place in the morning there last season, so I'd like to see that continue. The shuttle bus service, notwithstanding of which, we're talking about delays to the Werris Creek pool opening now, but assuming that pool opens first, that given that our original date for opening of the Quirindi Aquatic Centre was the 1st of November, that we're providing the community with a means to get to the pool that maybe don't have one from Quirindi to Werris Creek, so that they can go and visit the pool during that time until such time as the Quirindi Aquatic Centre opens. And that would be subject to take up and use review during that time. And extending the pool season to Friday the 8th of April 2026. I put that forward. It's basically one extra week to what's been done previously. The swimming clubs find it quite frustrating that the week before the state championships at SOPAC in Sydney, the kids aren't able to train. So I think that's really important, especially since we're opening late this year. And we would like to go back to the original October long weekend opening going forward, as that's when traditionally our pools did open. And as we can appreciate, it's already quite hot. So I would really like to see it go back to that October long weekend opening going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Kane.
Mr Mayor, I'm happy to second this motion. Early conversation with Councillor Lawson has been put forward with my feelings that Werris Creek was left out of an early morning swim session, and it's been extremely popular. Although of course the facility has been jointly used by Quirindi and other residents as well as the Werris Creek residents. So I think 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Time slot and the extension of hours to 7 p.m. is an excellent initiative of the amendment. Being a local living basically adjacent to this particular facility at Werris Creek, I witnessed firsthand the patronage of the early open, do an early morning swim. Quite unique, I think, and I haven't seen it since I was a young kid when the 6 a.m. swim was a popular thing. Mr Mayor, I'll totally support the amendment to this. The only question I would raise, and that is regarding, and we're talking about variables, as the Director of Planning Committee has said, and we might have a toss-up of actually which, because of some issues with the completion of the Werris Creek facility, we may have an event occur that the Werris Creek facility the Quirindi facility is actually opened before Werris Creek. So, on dot point number 4, that a 10% discount of season ticket purchase, that particular dot point may have to be reversed and applied to the Werris Creek residents that are seeking to have a family pass, the old-fashioned term season ticket. So if we could make a slight adjustment or have that noted, that may have to be considered to be offered to the season holders, pass holders of the Werris Creek facility, if the Werris Creek facility is delayed to an extended period. But the guts of the amendment is just wonderful, and I'm so glad to see again that both facilities will be open to 7 p.m, which I think is just in our climate, and people finishing work is just a must. And I thank Councillor Lawson for putting up this amendment, and I totally support it. But as I said, dot point 4 may be something that our senior management may have to do a consideration possibly at a November meeting if we have a more definite date of the completion and the opening of Werris Creek swim centre. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kane. So does anyone else wish to speak for or against the amended motion? Councillor Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's sort of a little bit off this topic. Has all the area schools been notified of the changes in the operation of the pools, or would they, only just going to be finding out about it now? Thank you.
Through the general manager.
Through the Mayor, and thank you, Councillor, for the question. I will follow that matter up separately because they do separate bookings, and that issue was raised with me a number of weeks ago when we first thought that the Corindai pool wouldn't open on the 1st of November, but we will be dealing with all of the stakeholders in terms of opening dates for the pool and bookings and that's something we're quite aware that there's a number of people who use it quite regularly and make bookings in relation to that.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak for or against? Councillor Kane.
Mr. Mayor, just on point 4, I don't think it needs to be adjusted. Doesn't that apply to any purchases across the board? It doesn't have to, it just says in recognition of the community's response while during the construction of the Corindai Aquatic Centre. It doesn't say that it's limited to people in Corindai or Werris Creek. It's just the purchase of any season tickets. I don't think it needs to be changed at any point. I think it just stays as it is.
Thank you, Councillor Kane. Yeah, I think he's correct, but anyway, Councillor Kane.
Mr. Mayor, to Councillor, I think it's just the way it reads. To me, it reads, well, I read it as the construction of the Corindai, but if we're happy that that's applied across the board, I'm very happy. I suppose if it said the construction of, I don't know, the Aquatic Centre, but I thought it was targeted for the use of the Corindai. While I have the microphone, Mr. Mayor, could I also say that I'm very pleased that the Director has said that we, as a council, will make a public statement on social media and hopefully on all forms of media that we can use regarding what's occurring. It's unfortunate. I have received many phone calls and messages from people in the Werris Creek community. Some nice, some not so nice, asking what is happening. So I'm very pleased that the General Manager and the Director will take the initiative to publicly explain what has occurred. It's very unfortunate. I, like everyone else, feel very badly that this has occurred, but things happen, and I hope the media release will explain the circumstances that has caused the extended delays in the Werris Creek facility. And I think through previous public social media feeds regarding the required electrical upgrades and alterations in the Corindai Centre, Corindai residents are fully aware that this is one of those things that happens, and it just happens. But I'd like to congratulate the General Manager on his decision and the Director to publicly inform our ratepayers that there's going to be a little bit more pain before we have some lovely gains. So let's hope all the planets line up and we get a better run. It's just, it'll be a complicated thing for the public to understand. It's just a series of events that have gone pear-shaped. Everyone has these things happening in large constructions, but I'm happily that it's going to be explained instead of just left to rumour and innuendo. So one of my conditions, I clearly said to the people, communication is the key, and accountability is the key to us as councillors. And I'm glad that we are showing both. We're showing accountability to explain and communicate what's actually happening. And again, I'm sorry it has happened, but I'm glad we're taking the initiative to be honest and forthright in telling the community. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Well said, Councillor Kane. You know, I think we're in the straight anyway. We're not over the line, but we're not far from it. I think everyone has done a magnificent job in the last few months in trying to get this over the line. So I thank them very much for everything they've done, from the general manager to the staff. So I think, Councillor Allen.
Councillor Lawson, can you go up to one again, please, for us? The date, the 1st of November, is that the opening date? That's the only thing I've got wrong. It is the true opening day for Rose Creek.
Yeah, so that was one of the things I pointed out would have to be.
I mean, yeah, no, I was just, that was one that was, I couldn't see that, I wasn't sure, just change that, everything else. Everything reads good.
Councillor Lawson.
So just to clarify, we probably need to adjust that amendment to say ASAP or something more official. So yeah, just to clarify, point 4 was always to apply to all season pass holders, not just Quirindi residents, just across the board. If you purchase a season ticket before the 30th of November, you'll receive a 10% discount. And I'd just like to say, like others, my great appreciation for the director and the general manager who have just driven this project in the last few months. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to get to the date that we wanted, and those were factors outside of our control. So very appreciative of all your hard work, and I'm sure it will be worth it in hopefully a couple of short weeks. You know, we'll have this wonderful new facility and also the upgrades that are being done to Werris Creek Memorial Pool. I think we've worked on ourselves, so very much looking forward to that. Thank you.
General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just drawing back to Councillor Allen's point regarding clause 1 of the amendment, which is now the motion. I think Deputy Mayor, perhaps the words after will open, it should be Werris Creek Memorial Pool will open following completion of works. Earliest completion. And then the rest of that clause, Ros, could remain the same.
Yeah, read through.
So, does anyone else wish to speak for? Does anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? What's that name?
We need to vote on the amendment.
That's what I'm going to get to. But does anyone need the amendment read again? Is everyone happy with the amendment? So we're voting on the amendment.
Unless you just like me to read.
Amended motion, yes.
Councillor Lawson, point 1, right?
So just to clarify, point 1 now reads, note that the Werris Creek Memorial Pool will open following completion of works, and the Quirindi Aquatic Centre will open on Saturday, the 22nd of November 2025.
Right, so everyone's aware, so we are voting for the amendment. All in favour? Against? Carried unanimous. Thank you very much.
What's the name of it? Vote on.
Accept.
9.3, constitution of local advisory committees and appointment of community members. The recommendation that Council 1 extend its appreciation to all members of the Liverpool Plain Shire community who submitted an expression of interest to serve on a local advisory committee for the the remainder of the current 2024-2028 term of council, to establish the Crindai, Willow Tree, Wallavadar and Western Plains local advisory committees for the remainder of the 2024-2028 term of council and adopt the terms of reference appended to Annexure B, C, D and E. 3, formally appoint those members of the community who have expressed their interest in serving on the Corindai, Willow Tree, Wallavadar and Western Plains local advisory committees to their relevant committee for the remainder of the 2024-2028 term of council. And 4, advise members of the Werris Creek community and the Werris Creek Progress Association who have expressed their interest in serving on the local advisory committee that it will not be formed due to less than 5 nominations being received as required by the terms of reference for the formation of a committee. Do I have a motion? Councillor Robinson. Seconder, please. Councillor Lawson. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Robinson.
Just wondering when those names will be put together and in what time frame. Thank you.
Through the General Manager.
Through the Mayor, and thank you, Councillor, for your question. I think the question you're asking in terms of who is on the committees, that's actually in Annexure A. So councillors have got that information.
Yeah, there's like quite a few for Wallavadar. When do we know who gets the nod? All of them.
Whoever wants to go on it. Sorry, speak now.
No, I'm through the Mayor. Just repeat what he said. Essentially, if all the nominations for Wallavadar are accepted, the council moves ahead with the recommendation.
Thank you. Right, Councillor Robinson? Anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Lawson.
I just wondered in relation to the amalgamation, if you like, of the ones that didn't have enough people, whether we actually had communication with them that they were open to doing that, or whether that will take place after we've had the motion today. Thank you.
Through the General Manager.
Through the Mayor, and thank you, Council, for your question. We'll have those discussions with those individuals following the council meeting and talk about where we're going to hold the meetings and all that sort of thing. So I'll be doing that post today. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Sinclair.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Again, this process has been conducted over a couple of months. Really very happy that we extended the nomination period to try and attract as many people as we can. I think there's some absolutely fantastic community members who have thrown their hands up. And I'd like to commend council for not completely writing off those in the western villages of our LGA and creating the Western Plains Lab. I know a couple of the people who have put their names down there, and it's very, very important that the Western Plains or the western districts of our LH local government area are represented, and I really look forward to seeing what they come on board with. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Sinclair. Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Donors report, Bill. Notice of motions, questions with notice. The notice, 11.1, the notice of motion from Councillor Sinclair, development of project management framework and establishment of major projects committee. The recommendation that Council 1 request the General Manager develop and implement an organisation-wide project management framework. 2, establish a major projects committee comprising the Mayor and 3 councillors, along with the General Manager and relevant staff nominated by the General Manager to A, oversee the development and implementation of Council's project management framework. B, provide strategic direction, review project scopes, ensure that project objectives, budgets, timelines and risks are clearly identified and addressed during the planning phase. C, monitor the application of the project management framework throughout the life cycle of major projects undertaken by council, including both planning and delivery. And D, meet regularly to review project progress, ensuring that any issues or risks identified during planning are proactively addressed during delivery. And 3, nominate councillors 1, 2 and 3 to serve as the 3 council delegates to the Major Projects Committee through to September 2028, noting that all committee appointments are traditionally reviewed mid-term following the election of Mayor and Deputy Mayor. Councillor Simpson, would you like to move the motion?
Yes, please.
Do I have a second? Councillor Kane. Councillor Simpson, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, please, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Get the soapbox out again. No poetry this time. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to this motion and provide some context as to why this motion is before council today. Council's current long-term financial plan paints a clear and concerning picture with regard to the Liverpool Plain Shire Council's ongoing reliance on grant funding to continue to maintain and upgrade our infrastructure assets. A financial predicament that we, as councillors, in conjunction with the General Manager and his staff, are dedicating a significant consideration. It may be in many ways our number one consideration. Notwithstanding the broader context of where our ongoing revenue source, the purpose of this motion is to address how these funds are spent rather than where they come from, the quality of the expenditure and the community outcomes, for lack of a better phrase. It's become clear during the first 12 months of this council term that significant improvements are required in the delivery of council's major projects. Ongoing issues relating to project governance as well as cost and scope variance have plagued 2 of our major projects currently in delivery, being the Corindai Aquatic Centre upgrade and the Willow Tree Waste Management Centre projects, ultimately resulting in substandard outcomes for our community. Our lack of formalised project management framework has allowed the quality of project management of multi-million-dollar projects to depend solely on the diligence and capability of the individual project managers rather than a structured approach along with best practice. This approach to project delivery at best could be explained as extremely high risk and at worst a recipe for ongoing disaster. The fact that council successfully delivered its largest capital works project embarked into Quality Water Treatment project on time and on budget without a project management framework can only be considered a testament to the individuals involved in that project, and they should receive significant thanks from council for their efforts. And certainly not to take anything away from those staff or council staff. The fact that our organisation continues to embark on further high risk and complex projects without a structured or process-based approach, relying exclusively on the expertise of the operational managers with already full remits, should scare the pants off any reasonable person and deserves this council's full attention. Unfortunately, council's had a long torrid history of poor project delivery that's previously been met with little corrective action and ultimately unsatisfactory results. It's my intent through this motion and the subsequent actions arising from it that quality, along with value for money, are embedded as council's main priorities during the planning and delivery of major projects, not just catchphrases on a mission statement or a glossy pamphlet. I note that this journey towards a project management framework doesn't start today, and the General Manager and his staff have already made significant inroads towards our objectives. Our recent organisational restructure delivered by our GM has already put a clear focus on improved project outcomes, focusing our infrastructure services in the standalone directorate. The creation of a new manager of engineering assets and projects will provide a much needed operational focus on project management and will only be bolstered by the implementation of this framework in the future. Further, the alignment of the Executive Leadership Group, Council's Support and Risk Improvement Committee and the elected body towards better project outcomes also serves to utilise as many perspectives and skills as possible in the pursuit of well-deserved high quality outcomes. In addition to the progress already underway, the establishment of a Major Projects Committee only serves to complement the journey towards better project management. The committee improves transparency around projects at all stages of a project's life cycle and provides another level of accountability for the delivery of our high risk and complex projects. As a councillor, it's easy to give the general manager a directive and wash your hands until the next council meeting. This committee squarely puts, from a strategic perspective, our skin in the game for the outcomes provided to our community. Our community trusted us to sit in this room and guide the organisation. This committee gives us not only the opportunity, but the explicit responsibility to be a part of the solution, not continue to be a part of the problem. A phrase that's commonly used in local government as it's an industry-wide problem, whilst true in many cases, is only valid as an observation in advance of meaningful change, not to be used as an excuse. This motion and the work completed by the General Manager to date in the development of a framework are Council's first of many steps to buck the industry-wide trend and deliver quality outcomes for our community. Council will no longer be a part of an industry-wide problem. Near enough is no longer good enough for our organisation, and I strongly commend this motion to councillors. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Stickett. Does anyone else wish to? Councillor Kane?
Mr Mayor, I don't know whether I can add a great deal to what Councillor Simpkins has outlaid in his direction for this motion. I support it 100%. Being a councillor, a new councillor to this organisation, I can only but agree with everything that has been said, and our roles as a new councillor have been quite a learning curve to see how previous projects have come through, and what should have been great benefits to the ratepayers and the Shire being in the fashion of grant funded have actually turned out to physically cost the ratepayers to complete some projects, which were just as crazy, absolutely crazy, and it does have to stop. And hopefully, with our new management team and the direction that our General Manager is leading us, that this is another step to stop any other funded projects or projects that we undertake as a council that will actually end up as a disaster. And over the many years that I've looked from the outside in, I have seen this occur, and it does have to stop. It would be a wonderful thing in New South Wales if Liverpool playing Shire Council, as Councillor Simpkins has said, bucks the system. This has got to stop. Just because we're a council, good enough is not close enough. We just can't keep pulling revenue from other funds and putting off other projects to fund ill-conceived, ill-managed projects. And hopefully, I do hope sincerely that this is a step in the direction to stop this from occurring again. I also think, Mr Mayor, that it will also give a conduit or a connection, a greater connection, with the three representatives as councillors to Mannix and other consultants come expertise that are employed by the council to undertake some large significant projects. A greater connection than I've seen that has occurred in the completion of the Aquatic Centre while I've sat in this chamber, and also what we are learning in regard to our waste management strategy and trying to finish off that particular project. It just can't keep going on. We have been elected by the residents, the ratepayers, to manage their funds in a much better state than I believe has been done in the past. So I cannot speak highly enough. Two words that were used at the end of Councillor Simpson's speech, and that is accountability and transparency. Two simple words that I don't believe have been apparent in any large projects when things go a little bit pear-shaped. And I think if we can be honest with our ratepayers and our residents, if there's a problem, it has to be told to the people why there's a problem, what's happened, We are not perfect, we're not, we may not succeed. We may not do better than has been done in the past, but this is certainly a step in the right direction. I believe and I hope that the three representatives, the three councillors, again, have expertise in their fields that is different to Mannix and management, that can see and can look at other foreseen problems or ideas, ask the unusual questions sometimes. I'm quite famous for it. But you've got to question and try and cover all bases before you say, yes, we can. But we simply cannot go on using grant money without getting the biggest bang for the buck that we can get. So I would like to support this motion 100%, and I hope other councillors feel the same way. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is probably the most important idea that I've had come across in the last 12 months. Because we know there's a problem, we have to stand up and fix it. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Councillor Allen.
In light of Councillor Simpkins' proposal, the same could be said for multiple subcommittees within each area. So you're not only doing one for the project management, but you're doing one for the finance and other areas, because in saying what you've said that financially the council has not kept, I'm trying to spill my words properly and not make it too complicated, not speak for 15 minutes when you don't really need to. It would make more sense to have multiple committees, like set on state and federal organisations and governance areas, and it's having that throughout. If you're going to have one, you have all throughout. You have each councillor sitting on that areas of it. So it would make more sense to extend the motion to extend it to every single area of the council, not just one area. I know this is the main area, but finance and the other ones are exactly the same. If it's in one area, it's straight across the whole council, and you can't just focus on one area. Does that make sense what I'm saying? To have the same representation from a council sit in.
I'll have to pass over to the General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, councillors, for your contributions on this notice of motion. Firstly, I want to thank Councillor Simpkin for sitting down with me and actually talking through this notice of motion before he moved it and included it in the business paper. And I want all of you as councillors, as well as those members of our community who do tune in and watch our meetings, to know sometimes when councillors move notices of motion, it's not uncommon to hear the GM or senior staff groan or roll their eyes. And I guess I speak for the entire executive team when I say we are very comfortable with this idea, and we are not being dragged kicking and screaming towards it at all. It is not how I wanted to spend my first months in this general manager role, my first GM role, having to learn everything there is to know about aquatic centres and bulls and cost overruns and variations and all the rest of it. And unfortunately, that is now being extended to all things waste management. It is certainly not how Director Costa or Director Small would want to spend their first weeks in their roles either, but as a team we are working through these projects as best we can. And I think this notice of motion speaks to the fact that a lot of the challenges that we experience in project delivery are usually due to things being dropped in project planning and scoping. And where this committee, certainly from my understanding of it and from the notice of motion, will be taking us is actually putting more emphasis and more focus on the front end of that piece, making sure that we have done planning and scoping our projects properly before we go out to secure funding or allocate funding for them in our operation plan. So when this notice of motion came through and I shared it with the executive team, there was not a single director who actually was unhappy with this. I think as a team we too have recognise the need to strengthen our project management framework, to strengthen project governance, to upskill and focus on developing capability and capacity across our organisation. So I just wanted to preface, before we move to actually vote on this item, before you vote, I guess just as a management team, that's our position and where we're coming from. In relation to Councillor Allen's contribution, that proposal is not uncommon at larger metro councils. It's quite common for those councils to have subcommittees focusing on corporate or community or planning. What I would, and obviously whatever is decided in the chamber, we as an executive team will implement. In saying that, what I would caution councillors is just to be mindful of our resourcing levels at present. Certainly when we discussed as an executive team this additional committee, and could we actually resource it and support it within current resourcing levels, we said yes, we could. If there were additional committees created at this point in time, we would need to look at additional resources, which would come at a cost. I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Have one more
Councillor.
conversation. This wasn't a do it right now. It was a project when we feel the need to, and I'll stagnate it out and allow for this process to be dragged out over probably years. Because I think you'll see the successful ventures that come with this committee up and continue on. Thanks.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? That's right.
And it would include the learning phase when you're talking, specifically talking about learning the different aspects of the council. This would include in the learning phase of being a councillor and saying sitting and going through the different committees within the council, that it's included in the learning phase. And you can include this in that. The overall, for 4 years, you're doing different committees throughout the 4 years. Thanks.
No one else, we just need to nominate three. We need to nominate 3 councillors to serve on this committee. Is everybody happy with that? So we can count. So we need 3 nominations. Councillor Singh.
Yeah, do you nominate yourself or do you just generally nominate someone else?
No,
I'll nominate, I'll throw my hand up, I'd like to do it.
So Councillor Singh.
Myself as well.
Pardon?
I'd like to nominate myself as well.
Any other nominations? Councillor Kane.
Yes, Mr Mayor, I'd like to nominate Councillor Kane.
Thank you. Councillor Cowan.
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Councillor Cameron.
Councillor Lawson.
I just wanted to speak before actually you got to the nominations,
Oh,
sorry. I do support the development of a project management framework, very much so, and I know that that's already in process. My only concern with this is, obviously all of us want to be involved. So I just, obviously this sort of thing would usually be discussed at a workshop level. I only just have concerns around, I feel like I could contribute to this committee as well, given my experience in project management and construction and everything. So I just have some concerns around that, as to whether councillors can be involved in some way or other if they want to on certain aspects of this. Thank you.
Through the jam.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Once again, whatever the council resolves, we will implement. The only thing I would encourage you to think about is if all councillors are members, it is then a committee of the council under the Code of Meeting Practice, and under the new model code, that would mean that it becomes much more formalised in the sense of business papers moving into confidential, live streaming, etc. So that's the only hitch with putting all councillors on a committee, but once again, whatever is decided by the chamber, we as an executive team will implement.
One more.
Councillor Allen.
I don't want to stand up.
I have to. So how do we move forward with this, Mr. General Manager?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Given there there are 3 vacancies proposed and quite a number of candidates. If councillors are agreeable, perhaps we could move into recess, stop the live streaming and let the staff perhaps get other papers ready, just so we can facilitate a quick election process.
I'm happy to not be nominated.
We still have a
4-3.
Well, then I guess we have to move into recess.
Yes.
That's what I mean.
So, councillor Roberts,
Since it's,
now.
Charlie is pushing for this, I think he should be guaranteed on that job, on that block job. Because he has got a lot of the skills that would be needed, so I think, the other two should be between the rest of us.
As much as I appreciate the commendation, mate, it needs to be done fast. Everyone needs to be able to vote. I appreciate what you're saying, but we can't circumvent what the process is.
So I'll just go for a 5-minute recess and